and perhaps trade in the 2 or 3 jobs that you have in the Obama economy and maybe get yourself one career and move forward. Resource One Credit Union, Allen Economic Development Corporation, and ISW Menswear, sponsors of this event. We couldn't thank them enough, and thank all of the folks out here who are looking for good employees. If that is you, come on out, trade those 2 or 3 jobs in the Obama economy for an actual career. All right, we brought this up yesterday. Clockboy is suing a lot of folks, including, you guys know I have a show on the Blaze as well, broadcasting around the country, including one of my bosses over there at the Blaze. And I can't, and I ask myself, suing for what? On what basis? A lot of these outlets that are being sued are for people issuing opinions. And can you sue somebody for their opinion? And maybe there's more to this, but I wanted to talk to one of the legal eagles, part of our roster here at the Chris Salcedo Show. And Loretta Powers is a native of Denton. She's earned a Juris Doctorate from what is now Texas A&M School of Law in Fort Worth. Loretta also holds a Bachelor's of Arts degree in economics from the University of North Texas, and she's with the law offices of Tim Powers. Hey, Loretta, welcome back to the Salcedo Show.
Hey, Chris. Thank you for having me back. It's good to talk to you.
So I know you've looked at this case. Of course, Clockboy is the young man who brought that ill-advised project that many folks said looked suspicious, where he took the guts out of a clock, according to some engineers, took the guts out of a clock, put it into a case, and said, "Look at the clock I built." Again, that's not me saying definitively, but I knew engineers that I had read up said that's exactly what it looked like he did. So at any rate, he's now suing. On what basis is he suing?
So the father is suing on basis of defamation. He's saying that the comments made by Glenn Beck and so forth made people think that he was like an Islamic terrorist, which just isn't true. So I don't think he has a legal leg to stand on.
So now what? Okay, so let's just take the premise first. He is saying that his family and his son were defamed by comments by people out there giving their opinion about what this looked like. So I know that there were some people out there saying this looked like a trial run, but again, it's people's opinion. Can you sue nowadays for people's opinion?
You cannot sue for somebody's opinion, and that's just what these comments were. I mean, yes, the kid is a bright kid. Like, I can't even assemble an IKEA table, but he did have behavioral issues. It said here in the document there was an incident where he apparently stabbed a kid in the neck with a pencil by throwing a pencil at the kid.
Oh, everybody does that.
Behavioral issues.
Everybody does that.
Well, I did it as a kid. I was a teacher's pet.
Oh, well, yes, and that's why you grew up to be a lawyer. Loretta Powers, by the way, folks, she is our guest right now with the law offices of Tim Powers. So if you're saying that they can't sue with any credibility those who offer opinions, let's talk about the mayor of Irving, who's been named in this suit as an elected official. Is there any basis on that angle of this lawsuit?
No. Whenever you file a lawsuit, you want to do the kitchen sink method. Get as many co-plaintiff or co-defendants as you can, right, and just attach anybody and anyone. And what really makes this lawsuit stink is the timing of it. These comments were made almost a year ago. Why now? Well, it turns out that Glenn Beck, 5 days before this was filed, settled a lawsuit that was a little bit similar. So I think that the father's just using his kid as an ATM machine.
Ah, all right. Well, that's a very interesting angle. So, and that was going to lead into my next question. What could be is this just wanting to extend that 15 minutes of fame? Become liberal darlings, because we know that the Clockboy was supported by President Obama himself, brought to the White House, made a political spectacle by members of the left who support this type of behavior exhibited by Clockboy. So is this just an effort by the family to stay relevant or in the public eye?
I think so, because if you read the 21-page court document that was filed here in Dallas, it gives like an entire narrative. There's 5 pages talking about the father and his background. And usually pleadings like that, you don't include all of that information. So I think he just wanted to get his narrative out there, and there it is.
And what do we know about the law firm that is representing them? Do we know much about them?
Apparently, they're also representing a Baylor student with the claims on sexual harassment. I really don't know much about this law firm.
I see. And well, since you brought up that component, are these sexual harassment suits just fabrications, or looking to because there are some folks in legal practice that are shakedown artists that want to get out there and just I remember doing a story out in California. When I was in news, our station did a story about a guy that used the Americans with Disabilities Act going around and suing businesses for no access. And he wasn't interested in getting access. He was just interested in getting money. So they would settle with him, and this is how this guy made tons of money. And until finally, folks caught on to what he was doing. It was a shakedown operation. Are you getting a sense that this is what this law firm specializes in? That kind of a shakedown type operation?
Can't say that, but I can say this, Chris. I hope that you never get sued for your opinions, because you're going to have to make the hard decision. Do I fight this for many years and spend $100,000 on attorneys, or can I quickly settle this and get it over with for $50,000?
Right. Well, and there's
so sometimes it's a lot easier to settle.
And there's where I think that law could help us out by saying, you know what, if you file some of these lawsuits that are frivolous, perhaps if it wasn't so financially rewarding for these individuals to file, and I think this whole Clockboy lawsuit does appear on the surface to be incredibly frivolous, that they would incur expenses themselves if the plaintiffs named decided that they wanted to use the full extent of the law and go back at them. What do you think?
Right. I mean, they do have sanctions for frivolous lawsuits. However, it's really hard to prove that the lawsuit is frivolous, because it's pretty easy to say that you have a legal leg to stand on, even though you don't.
Right. I hear you. Loretta Powers, everybody. She's a native here of North Texas, and she is with the law offices of Tim Powers. Thank you for the legal expertise, counselor. We appreciate it as always.
Thank you, Chris.
All right. Your comments on that, folks. 800-288-WB.